Find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
The crew at St. Francis Tire wants to make sure that you have a safe and happy holiday season. Whether you're driving to see family in another town or just driving to the grocery store, make sure your vehicle is ready. Stop by St. Francis Tire on Highway 36 in St. Francis.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
Phones nowadays can do practically anything, including feed you.
And now they cannot.
Well, that is if you download the McDonald's app. Use the McDonald's app to get deals on the food you love, including McCafes, soft drinks, fries, and so much more. Plus, keep up to date on what's trending at McDonald's with the latest promotions, events, new products, and specials. You can even order and pay from the app. So download it today and score from your local McDonald's at Burlington, Colby, Goodland, and Lamar.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Right out of the smoker for your holiday table, it's the Grinnell Locker with their award-winning label. You'll find smoked ham, smoked turkey, smoked prime rib, save on barbecue and meat bundles. They have meat and cheese trays and more at the Grinnell Locker, Main Street, Grinnell, Kansas.
Available at Next-Tech Wireless in 4 bold colors: black, pink, teal, and ultramarine. Which iPhone 16 color will you choose? Built for Apple Intelligence with the all-new A18 chip, a new feature camera control, and a big boost in battery life. Get the new iPhone 16 on us. Next-Tech Wireless. Home on the range.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
The amount of money getting thrown around to quarterbacks who haven't done diddly squat is amazing to me.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
It's been a long, long time. But the Goodland Cowboys are going to play for a state title.
To the pros.
How about a walk-off grand slam? Touch of all time, Ryan McMahon.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
It's that way. Here's Lee, right side, straight up to the basket and scores.
Top of the key. Hammond from downtown, right between the eyes for Julian Hammond. Holy cow, what a nice cold shot. And Colorado regains the lead by 1, 65-64. Looks like an 18. Hammond down the paint, floater at the right hand. Oh, what a shot. That time by Julian Hammond. Down the lane over the top of this 7'2" shot blocker. GM and a foul.
Big time freshman on big time freshman. He lost the handle. Harris has the steal. Wando up the floor. KJ, a two-hand rim rocking jam. KJ Adams with that flush. Diggy driving left side. Ryland for three again. This time he hits. Ryland Griffin from way downtown.
Well. Look at that. Max wearing his Jayhawk shirt today. This was the text message I received, let's see, last night from our very good friend Max. Watching the NBA, KU makes me want to vomit. And this morning, he rocks the chalk with the Jayhawk shirt.
I'm a true sports fan is all I think that shows people.
That's a fact. You are a true sports fan.
That is a true sports fan 180. If I've ever seen it, I'll own it.
Amen.
And it's not a lie. It's also not a lie. First half, there was about 2 minutes left. I said, this is making me not happy. That's what I said. It's making me upset. So I'm going to watch Victor Wembanyama versus Giannis Antetokounmpo, which, by the way, fantastic night in the NBA. If anyone watched the Thunder versus the Cavs, 30 versus 5 versus 31-4, my Cleveland Cavaliers got the job done, which was a classic game. They rematch on Wednesday. I won't go into the NBA after this, but watch that game because those two teams play a very fun brand of basketball, and that was a lot of fun. But then I turned the game back on in the second half, and Shaq Moore is my savior, is what I think I've discovered, because his turn of events in that second half with the steal, the dunk, Bill Self saw something in him to give him the start. Didn't work in the first half, but the second half really turned things around for this Jayhawks team.
KU last night, 74-55 winners over Arizona State. It was not that kind of game. It did not have that kind of feel in the first half. In fact, Kansas was down after the first half by 6 and used a 20-3 run in the second half to turn a 6-point deficit into an 11-point lead. They actually outscored the Sun Devils 38-13 in the second half, and one of those baskets was kind of just a one in garbage time, not really defending it that well. So 11 points given up by the Jayhawks. Steve, I'll tell you what I saw last night watching that game was that the Jayhawks, for the first time, actually gave a damn in the second half. They cared. They actually cared. And that's the amazing thing, is that when they care and they play hard, they can be really good. But if their give a damn don't work, like, we're just going to come out here, we're Kansas, we're a blue blood, everyone's going to bow down to us on our home floor in the fog, we'll be fine. It's just not the way it is anymore. Not with the NIL, not with the way it is. There's good athletes everywhere. Kansas has got to get off this podium thinking that there's this totem pole thinking, you know what? We're just the best, and they're still very good. Don't get me wrong, but their give a damn flip. That flip was switched in the second half. Whatever Bill Self said at halftime was very effective.
Yeah, I mean they need energy. They need energy. Every basketball team does. Energy and momentum is so huge in the sport of basketball, and it showed last night. When they gain energy, they completely took over this game, and they want to. This is what is hard about the NIL is. It's harder to want to win for each other and win for your brothers that you're playing the sport with when you're just meeting them before the season. When you're growing and growing through a program and it's your third, fourth year, you're going to want to win more for your brothers that you're playing with. And I know, KJ, DeJuan, and Hunter have been there now for a few years together, but it's different. And I think it's not impossible for a team that is newly put together to want to win for each other, but it just takes more time and it's harder, I definitely think. But once you get that down and once the energy is where it was like it was last night, and it's a lot easier when you play at Allen Fieldhouse to have energy. It only takes one play to get that energy really going. But that's when KU can kind of take that next step up, when they really bring that energy and not just relying on, we have all this talent in the world, it's not going to matter because we're going to win and the talent will carry over. No, you need those energy plays. You need that momentum. You need to win for each other. And I think that's definitely what they are learning throughout the first 13, 14 games of the year.
Yeah, it was Zeke Mayo led the Jayhawks with 23 points. Hunter Dickinson a double-double, 15 and 12. Like you said, Shaq Moore with the huge spark defensively probably was the reason that they probably started taking over the game. I tell you what, Arizona State played great in the first half. I mean, they were playing some beautiful basketball. I mean, the cutting and the passing that resulted in great-looking shots, it was awesome. As Coach Mikey Dahl, I'll give him all the credit on this quote, the ball had energy, as they say. The ball had energy. The ball had life. It was moving around. It was great. When Kansas decided we're going to play some defense, all of a sudden that stopped. And then Kansas started having some energy because their defense fled into their offense.
And credit to Bill Self, because that full court press was really what sparked that energy in that second half. They went full court press and they started getting turnovers like those two with Shaq Moore. So, Bill Self has got to get a little credit as well for making that decision, because it really worked out. And that's kind of a risk. Going full court press in any level besides high school is always a risk that you run. But it definitely benefited KU getting that energy, and it can create that. And it did.
Anyway, good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz. Ross Volkmer and Max Gershon with you here for the next 45 minutes or more than likely. That way the show goes anymore. As always, FB Bank text line is open at 785-899-2222. It is the January 9th. Expecting a little bit of the white stuff to be blowing around today. A chance of snow showers in the late morning and early afternoon. North winds is probably the biggest thing. Keep in mind, winds anywhere from 15 to possibly 40 miles per hour, kind of within our listening region. So we could see some blowing snow, particularly if you're north of Goodland, if you're in the Goodland, Cheyenne, and kind of Atwood counties, a little bit in Thomas County. There could be some real blowing light snow. So it's not going to accumulate very much, but travel this afternoon might not be advised. So be careful out there if you plan on going somewhere this afternoon, as we could see cool, windy, and snowy-like day here in the Tri-States region. But going to be a high today of what looks to be 32 today, but plenty of wind and some of the white stuff as well. Today we'll be welcoming in studio Fort Hays Tech Northwest Athletic Director Rory Kling. Been wanting to have him in for a while, and sometimes I've got so many other things going on, I just forget, like, oh, that's right, I wanted to have him in. We're going to have him in and talk about the changes that have been going on, going from Northwest Tech to Fort Hays Tech Northwest, all the different things that they've had to accomplish to get that done. We're visiting with him coming up here at the bottom of the hour in about 15 to 20 minutes or so. Rory Kling will stop in and join us in studio today. Like I said, but big story of the day to start off with is Kansas coming back to get the win over Arizona State, 74-55. Like I mentioned, the Jayhawks were down quite handily, to be completely honest with you. They just... It's like I said earlier, it was amazing to me because to watch them in the first half and then to watch in the second half, those were two completely different basketball teams. 100%
was. And I just, they're such a momentum driven team. Like I mentioned, I mean, it doesn't take much, especially at home. It was probably a different result if it's an away game. But they just, something about the first half, they just were playing slow, sloppy. I mean, pretty just what we're kind of been somewhat used to in the last three. It was that same thing as last year is what we saw in the first half.
What's amazing to me is that you get your tail kicked at home the last time against West Virginia, or you lose at home. Then you go on the road to UCF and you beat the living tar out of Central Florida. To only come home and then lay another kind of egg in the first half, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. I get what you're saying 100%. And that's what it's choppy. It's a little choppy, if that makes any sense.
You probably make a great point. Because of the transfer portal and all this stuff, it takes more time for guys to learn to play with each other. You make a good point there, and I'm sure that's part of the reason. But, man, I don't know, just seems nuts to me.
It's funny. I mean, because I just had Case and Carroll and Braden Foss in the studio right before the show doing an interview for the pregame show on Friday in Hugoton. And then, they were telling me that it's easy to want to win for each other because they've been playing together since they were kids, So they obviously they have that together that they want to win for each other. And that's not, you see that in college basketball all the time, but you don't see it as much with the big programs now because of the transfer portal. And I think that's definitely a very underrated part that doesn't get talked about enough. It's a simple thing, but it's so true. Teams that are around together, not only do they know how to play with each other, but they know how to win with each other and they want to win for each other. And I'm not saying it's impossible, like I mentioned, for a team of fully new players or guys that haven't played with each other for as long as others to find a way to want to win for each other and develop relationships quicker. But it is a lot harder and it takes time. But it is moments like what you saw from Shaq Moore and the energy of Allen Fieldhouse And, having a bad first half and coming back and winning or blowing out a UCF after a loss, those bounce back moments when you're down in the dumps and you turn it around, it is those moments that develop that winning for each other mentality a lot quicker. So as much as it was a rough first half, I think you can take more out of that win, maybe even than the UCF game.
FNB Bank text line is popping this morning with Michael chiming in. Said if the boys can play a whole game and the rest of the season like they did in the second half, they can win a championship.
Definitely.
So
definitely. I mean, the talent's there. They're the most talented roster, I think, on paper to start the year. They were.
Jay Williams doesn't think that. Did you listen to Jay Williams last night? Gosh, he was talking about how he goes, I don't know. I don't know if this Jayhawk team is the most talented team I've played. He called them Kentucky one time. He couldn't get Flory Bedinga figured out.
He was screaming. I didn't watch the post-game show because I turned back onto the NBA after the game, but he was screaming at halftime. Someone was screaming at halftime or right before halftime about, and deserving this. I was screaming before halftime,
obviously.
But yeah, it was, it's rough. I mean, I don't like, that's the worst part. I think every sports fan can relate to this, is watching the same mistakes happen, not only game in and game out, but it's the same mistakes that were happening last season. Struggling to shoot the ball, terrible passing, turnovers, fouls. It's the same things that cost KU their season last year. And it was the same stuff in the first half, and it happened in First West Virginia. It happened against Missouri. I think this team is more talented than the last two. But that being said, there's definitely conversations to be had about why these same things are happening with different players for KU.
Yeah. It's probably a mix of a lot of things. You're trying to accumulate talent because you want to have as much talent on your team as you possibly can each and every year. And you're doing it now by also not only recruiting guys and trying to develop them, but majority now anymore of bringing guys in and having them play for a year or two with you as a transfer portal guy. And you're trying to melt those two pots together. And that's just very, very tough. And, the amazing thing is, think about AJ Storr. He played 4 minutes last night.
Yeah,
AJ
wild.
Storr doesn't play, and they probably played better when he wasn't on the floor. I mean, I don't know what to say on that. I mean, I don't know why AJ Storr is not playing a lot. I don't know why, but when you only really need 7 or 8 guys to make a basketball team. That's kind of the number. You have your 5 starters and
or
your
6 if you're Coach Stevens and the Eagles.
Yeah, or 6. I mean, I think if Coach Stevens could have another couple guys, I think he would take it. But anyway, yeah, he's it's interesting to see the way this plays at this point in time. With the way Kansas is at this point in time, I don't know. It's fascinating to see how this roster is coming together at this point in the season.
Here's my question then would be, first off, we obviously talk about how the transfer portals has these negative impacts, and it's shown really ever since this whole NIL thing kicked off that all the negative impacts kind of outweigh a lot of the major ones in almost every case. So what are coaches saying, and will coaches and college recruiters and ADs and stuff, will they realize that, or will it change is what I want to say. Will it change back to developing works better? I know we had the discussion of which one would we rather have, but will it change back to what it was before when they realize, will coaches realize, maybe developing is the way to go if we want to win a national championship?
I mean, this is a great question this is kind of one of those scientific deals. You're like working on it in the lab, and you've got all your stuff. This is going to be a great question that's going to be answered in a few years, because I have pondered about this so much. Because if you're a coach of any sport, you've been used to, and you have an experience, you've been used to bringing in guys and saying, hey, I'm going to develop you. We're going to get you to be maybe you're not going to play in the first year. You may not play your second year, but by the third year, you're going to be ready to go, and we're going to play you, and you're going to be a key part of it. We're going to grow our team around you, and and it was all about just kind of adding pieces. It was just taking pieces and putting it all together from time to time. And now it's about, if this guy didn't develop as fast as we wanted him to, then we just go out to the portal and bring in somebody else. and then that guy gets mad and then he leaves. It's such a, like, I think you have to commit. Here's the thing. I don't know if you can sit down the middle of the fence on this. I think either you say, look, we're going to develop our players, see them in high school, say that what we like about them, know what we can do with them, bring them in and mold them. And if that means that we stink for a year or two because of that, so be it. Or we're just going to go full in portal, and every year, you know what? We have a high schooler here or there, but we're not going to worry about too much. If they hit, it's awesome. If not, we're just going to go in the portal and get it. I just don't think you can. I don't think you can ride the middle. I just don't know if you can.
I mean, here's what I would do as a coach or someone that's building a team, especially in college basketball, is I would look at it like I would go look at the two stars of this transfer portal going into this season. It was Coleman Hawkins and AJ Storr. Really. Now look at what they're doing right now. Coleman Hawkins playing well, playing better than AJ Storr, but K-State's not playing well together. So I would go, okay, if you're lucky enough like a KU team and you have stars like DeJuan and like KJ and like your Hunter Dickinson, of course, maybe you go after role players in the transfer portal. Continue to develop your guys as your number one scorers and your starting five that have been there and that started their careers there. Develop them into your starting five. Keep those young guys around. Say, look, you will be the starting five. We're not going to go buy someone to replace you. You have a future here. But then bring in maybe some extra guys on the bench, maybe some role players, because that feels like what's working more. You're talking about a Diggy Coit or Rylan Griffin, kind of guys that are going to fill in as more of role players than getting a number one scoring option in the transfer portal.
How many guys in the, I don't know, and this would be in the last, how many guys in the portal are sitting there saying, well, I want to be a role guy?
Well, it just depends if they want to win or not. Because a big school a big school can do what they want. They can get who they want.
I guess like Diggy Coit's a perfect example. He's at Northern Illinois. He's a good.
But that's
player.
The guys I would look for.
But I like it from the other. I looked at it from the football perspective. I like it when guys come and they are out of like the FCS division. Guys from Montana State, guys that played a couple years there, were very successful, and then get to move up and play at the bigger guys that were dudes at smaller programs, like you 100%. Said, and go and bring them into your big time program, like whether that's Kansas or Kansas State. Those are the guys that I like to see.
Right.
Because they have it, they've played, they know what they're doing, they've had success, they know how to win. Most of them do. And that would be, so I don't know. That's probably, Max, how every coach in the perfect world would like to do it. We're going to develop our own players, and then the missing holes we're going to fill with our portal guys. We're going to miss those. That's how I think everybody wants to do it. The problem is, if you don't get a guy who's there, you recruited, and he doesn't play right away, and he doesn't have the success that he wants to have right away, he's leaving. Like, think about it. You could spend a year or two developing some guy that you. Let's go to Kansas basketball. Let's go to Devontae. Is it Devontae Graham?
Yeah.
So let's say
I don't know. I mean,
Graham.
He went to KU.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant KU. Devontae Graham.
Yeah.
So Devontae Graham, he wasn't a star.
Oh, right.
Right away, he was kind of a role player. But don't you think that maybe through time, if the portal was open, been like, you know what, I can go to the portal, I can find somewhere and play and be a bigger star, bigger player, can I? Probably could have. Could have left, could have gone somewhere and become bigger. But you know what? Because there was no portal, he got developed, and he just kept getting better and better and better.
Frank Mason.
Ochai Agbaji is another perfect. Actually, Ochai Agbaji is the better example. Ochai Agbaji is a guy that they brought out of high school from a local, in Kansas City, local kid, and wasn't really a whole lot for his first couple of years. Then came off the bench and played a little bit of a role, and then became the star. Was the star for Kansas basketball. You just aren't going to see. I just don't think you're going to see those stories anymore, because of the rules that are out there. Because if you don't have success in your first couple of years, you're looking to go somewhere else to become that star, instead of just taking the progressive route that, I think we've all been used to seeing teams do it. So I don't know. It's a very, very interesting world, and we're going to find out a whole lot more in 5 years from now on how this all things. But the goalposts and the baskets, they keep getting moved. Every year there's a change. And so, it's moving this, removing this. Now we're cutting down roster size. We're moving this. There's rules changing every single year. And it just becomes harder and harder to figure out this puzzle for coaches. And I don't blame them. Seeing college coaches saying, I want out, I'm going to go coach in the professionals because I don't have to deal with this stuff. I totally don't blame them. Coaches saying, I don't want to be a head coach. I want to go be an OC or defense coordinator. I don't blame them. There's just a lot. The rules the rules constantly are changing, and things are just constantly not in the same. That they just continue to be worked around and changed, and it's got to be frustrating. You want to, and most coaches are guys that want to recruit players and bring them in, develop them, and then fill holes with the portal guys. But the guy, by the time you're ready to have a guy step up and play, he's gone. He went somewhere else. It's such a frustrating thing to follow, I think, personally.
Yeah, and I don't know how you fix it. I think that's just kind of. I think that's kind of.
It's an easier fix than what you think.
Well, I guess just not letting him, but then you're gonna have so many unhappy players.
You get one transfer, you get one free portal out of your career. One.
I get it, but we've talked about this before. The NCAA got. They people had cried forever about the NIL and all of this stuff, and the athletes had been doing it. And they were like, all right, you win. And now you're seeing all this unfold. Now you're seeing all this unfold. And, if they do that, I get it. It would make sense. But I think you're going to have a lot of players complaining, and some rightfully so and some not rightfully so. But it's just, I don't know how you change. But I don't know how you change the athletes today's. I don't know how you change their mindset of these things. And I think it has to start with a program that promises the future, I guess, but it doesn't even matter like that because they want to play now.
You're talking like, how do you change it with the rules that are, or how do you change?
No, I'm saying, how do you change the mindset? I'm saying, how do you change the mindset of an athlete, of a freshman that's saying, I'm not playing now, and I might not play as much as I want to next year.
It's very simple. You give them one free portal deal. You give them one shot. If they want to move, then they can move, and that's fine. But that's it. After that, you have to apply for a waiver, and you'll have to sit out a year like the old rule was. See, that's what kept people from moving all the time. Because you're like, gosh, I got it. Okay, so I really want to get out of here. I want to go back, get closer to home. Fine. But you better have a dang good excuse on why you're going back there. It used to be like, okay, you want to transfer from Oregon and go back to Florida State? Fine. You can do that. But why? And the kid would say, well, my mom just recently got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I want to be closer to home so that she can watch me play for a year because she's probably not going to make it. And the answer would be like, okay, we will grant you a waiver because of that. But there were a lot of times where it was, I want to go somewhere else. I want to transfer. Okay, what's your reasoning? And they would throw something and instantly be like, nope, that's not good enough. You're sitting out a year. You will miss this year. But you can play the following year at that place. That made kids think about leaving. It was like, you know what? I don't want to sit out a whole year. I don't want to miss a whole year. So I'm just going to, stay where I am and work it out. You put that guardrail back up, a lot, not all, but a lot of problems are resolved.
Absolutely.
At least in the right direction. It makes people think. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. He says, preach, Ross. Yes, that's how you do it. You put up and say, fine, you want to transfer? Well, then we're going to do it up the old rules where you have to have a reason to go, or you know what, we'll give you one free transfer where you can transfer somewhere. But then you're not going to see guys playing at 4 different schools over 5 years. You'll see them play at 2 schools over their 4 to 5 year career. That's what you do. Put up those guardrails. Anyway, Kansas with a 74-55 win. Great second half from the Jayhawks to get it done there. Also last night in college basketball, some other great stuff. You had Kansas State women, who I don't think we talk about enough, unfortunately, had another great showing. They were at number 22, Utah. They blow the doors off of them, 71-47. That's their 11th straight victory. Oakley at 14 points. She's at 2,450 for her career. She's now amongst the top 100 scorers in NCAA history, men and women. Serena Sundell had 15 points to lead the way, a double-double from Jalen Glenn with 11 and 10. Jeff Mitty, by the way, now tied for second all-time in program wins with 206 with Judy Akers. So congratulations to Jeff Mitty. But the K-State Wildcat, number 12 women, they are rolling here this season. And Colorado, they lost last night down in Orlando. I saw the final play. They had a chance for a hook shot kind of at the end from a big. They got it down to the paint. Looked like he got fouled, but the official swallowed the whistle, and there was a 75-74 loss for Colorado down there in Orlando. Also last night, before we get to a timeout, the Had some junior college basketball happening. You had Fort Hays Tech Northwest women led after the first quarter. They were able to get the lead in the first quarter, but they end up losing at Barton 71-47. DeKara Clay had a game-high 21 points, but the ladies are still 0-14 now. And the Tech men were unable to win their third win in a row. Very tough game down at 17th-ranked Barton, 87-75. Tech Tigers outscored by 17 in the second 20 minutes. To drop to 3-10. John Trulene, Kalik Sharp each had 11 points in the Tech loss to lead them. Colby Community College women lost at 4th-ranked Dodge City, 66-48. CCC made just 4 field goals in the first half, Max. They shot 14% in the first half. They were down by 26 at halftime, not able to recover. Ashante Suttington had 19 points to lead the way for Colby, who lost for just the second time in the last 6 games. And the Colby men, they put it on Dodge City last night. A 30-pointer, a 30-burger from Eternity Agagi. He had 98-89. A romp of Dodge City. 4 different Trojans in double figures. Agagi had 30. Maxence Macedonia had 19. They rolled as they get to 10-5 overall, 5-5 in the Jayhawks. So good night last night for the Jukes, at least for the Colby men. Otherwise, it was kind of about another night of JUCO basketball in the books. Okay, 7:35 Mountain, 8:35 Central Time. We'll take a break. Roy Kling waiting patiently outside the studios here in Goodland. We will get to him next. You are listening to a Thursday edition of the Morning Blitz.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing, plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tom Saluda with the Anderson Trade Group with your overnight market report on January the 9th. March corn was unchanged at 454.5. May was unchanged at 462 3/4, and July was unchanged at 465 3/4. January soybeans was down 6 at 981. March soybeans was down 4 at 990, and May was down 4.5 at 1001. Kansas City hard red winter wheat March was unchanged at 549. May was down 1 at 558, and July was down 1 at 566. The stock market will be closed today in observance of Jimmy Carter. We closed last night with the Dow Jones down 63 points at 42,815. S&P down 16 points at 5,943. NASDAQ down 65 points at 21,293. Gold was up 18 points at 2,691, and crude oil was slightly up at 73.71 a barrel. If you're out in the Colorado area and have any grain to market or risk management questions, please call John Hanke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or you can call the Overland Park office, myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000. Thank you.
Attention farmers and agri-professionals. Tweed Insurance is celebrating 10 years of service with a can't-miss precision farming seminar. Join them on January 13th at 5:30 p.m. at the Event Center in Colby, Kansas. Learn cutting-edge techniques in precision planning and harvesting to maximize efficiency, save money, and streamline your claims process. Ben Hoding boasts over 25 years of crop insurance expertise and has precision farming experts coming in for this event that is open to everyone. RSVP today by calling Tweed Insurance.
Help maximize your yield potential and savings with 0% financing on leading fungicides from BASF. You can't beat 0%, especially when you could save big on consistent performing fungicides like Revitec fungicide and Veltima fungicide until March 15, 2025. 0% financing means keeping more in your wallet for better ROI. Talk to your BASF retailer today about the Grower Finance Program. Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions. See BASF Grower Finance Program for details. Always read and follow later.
Night of Country Legend, featuring the front man of country, Larry Stewart, formerly of Restless Heart. Richie McDonald, formerly of Lone Star. And Tim Rushlow, formerly of Little Texas. Front Man of Country, live at the Colby Event Center, Saturday, May 3rd. Get your tickets now at nwksradio.net.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks. A two-hand follow jam is true for Josh Jackson. And you're listening to the Morning Blitz with my main man, Ross Volkmer, right here on 102.5 You Rock.
We're back here on the Morning Blitz on this Thursday, January 9th. Once again, folks, reminder, the weather today going to be a little interesting. Could see some snow blowing around, particularly late in the morning, early afternoon. So winds anywhere from 15 to 40 miles per hour. So keep that in mind. If you're out traveling around today, the weather could get a little dicey later on, but don't expect a whole lot of accumulation at this point in time. Let's welcome into the program. He joins us in studio here inside in Goodland, the Fort Hays Tech Northwest Athletic Director, Rory Klink. Rory, I'm getting better at it. You know, I remember when we first talked, I could not say it to save my life.
Yeah, there's
practice.
Still times I catch myself saying Northwest Tech.
Yeah,
so.
well, practice makes perfect.
Yep.
So anyway, I tell you, the last time we had Rory in here, we were talking about, you know, the process that was about to take part of having to completely redo all of going from Northwest Tech and the Mavericks and the red and the black and all that stuff around campus to now flipping it over to everything having to do matching Fort Hays, you know, with the black and the gold and bringing in the Tiger logo and all that stuff. And I was just kind of curious as we're not there yet, but as we get closer to that finish line of having this whole thing done, I'm curious kind of what has gone the way you thought it would, what maybe hasn't gone the way you thought it would, and all that stuff as we get near the finish line.
A lot of it, we're getting close to the end. We finally got wrestling mats that we ordered in July over Christmas break. So those are one of the last things, at least for our winter sports, that we got in. We still have to redo our softball dugouts, which the metal came in over break as well. So resighting those, the red ones that we have out there, we're just going to do a gunmetal gray, so it's a neutral color in case anything would ever happen again. So just keeping that neutral, and then we're going to get some graphics on there. Buses still got to get done. We're getting one bus done next week, and then hopefully Leon and Commercial Sign can knock out the other two maybe here in the spring sometime when we're a little less travel heavy with wrestling, basketball, everything getting ready to start, indoor track getting ready to go. But yeah, it's getting closer. So
when you look back at it, how big of a project was this? You know, not only, you know, signage and stuff, but jerseys and things. How big of a project was it, and how much of kind of a relief is it to kind of almost have it in the rearview mirror?
It was huge. I mean, every time we walked through somewhere, there was something that we forgot to redo. I mean, even to the small part of lineup cards. We still got to get those and put the new logos on them. The basketballs got to get new logos put on them. All that stuff was there, but for the most part, it's been pretty smooth. We just had a whole list of stuff that I knew last January that I was like, all right, I got to change these items, and I just had a list. And then obviously that list grew as we took some off, and so it's been a process. But for the most part, yeah, it hasn't been too bad.
Rory Klink joins us in studio, Fort Hays Tech Northwest Athletic Director, as once again the process of kind of changing over everything is semi coming to a close. But of course, you know, besides all that, you have your athletic director duties that you have to do, which of course, you know, bringing in coaches and managing that, and that has always been a on your toes type of situation. It seems like for you.
Yeah, we in the beginning, since I'm getting ready to start I think I'm completing year 8 or year 9 now. In the beginning, it was like a shock that, coach left, whatever. And now it's like, okay, I've been through this process a number of times. The amount of athletic staff in the history of Fort Hays Tech / Northwest Tech we're eclipsing, I think we're over 100. And by the time we've had 13 or 14 years of athletics, we've had over 100 staff members. So it's nothing new now. Just getting a letter of resignation, whatever, posting the job, getting a new one in. There will always be another coach out there somewhere. That's the beauty of JUCO, that they're always there looking for a job. So moving forward through that process, it's not really a shock anymore when somebody says, hey, I'm moving on, I'm doing this. It's all right. Thank you for your time and your service to our school, and we'll get going for the next one.
Rory, what do you look for when you're hiring a new coach?
A lot of it's experience, but primarily at the JUCO level or college level, that's a big one, because if they don't have any experience in a college, obviously trying to recruit to Western Kansas is a struggle in itself. And so trying to do that is probably key. So having connections somewhere, like when we brought in Brad for the men's basketball team in July, he was at a similar situation. So a tech school up in North Dakota, small rural area, being able to recruit those kids up in North Dakota, a different pipeline that we've never had in the past. We've never recruited Minnesota, North Dakota. So having those, he had connections down in Florida. So yeah, connections and some type of experience in JUCO, but just like we had with Coach Marshall on the women's basketball side, might not have had all the experience, but was a great guy. So learned to develop those, like we had with Andy Kasongo on the women's basketball side a few years ago when Coach Kimball left in similar situation in July, left there. Annie maybe wasn't as experienced as a head coach. She was just the assistant role, but gave her a chance, developed, and eventually in that year 3, had a pretty successful year in women's basketball. And when you look at outside of Kevin Lynham, clear back in the beginning when we were playing CSU club and all those JV schools when we were 30-2, I think, or 28-2 back then. So, but yeah, a lot of it's experience.
Brock Kimball had a good run here.
Yeah.
Coach Kimball had a good run here.
Yeah. He was a great guy.
He was. I love him. He was goofy, but I liked him a lot.
Great guy. So I still talk to him. So we actually just talked about that if there were coaches we want to bring back, Kimball would be one of those key ones that, hey, come back to Goodland and see what you can do. So
yeah, he was great. I'd say you look at, we'll stick in just basketball in this scenario, but you look across the Jayhawk and how much changeover there has been over just the last few years with the coaches. And it's so funny that they're just like trading spots.
Yes, absolutely. It was the Bermuda Triangle, I guess, in a case with Butler, Hutch, Cloud, where we had just assistants and heads swapping teams and changing. And we used to have the transfer waiver in place, and now that's gone. So that's a lot easier now for kids to be able to transfer from one school to the other. So, but yeah, it's just been a rotation. And looking now, it's every year there's a new coach in the league or whatever. So that's probably a change. I mean, you can see that in the standings that some of those teams have flip-flopped, whether it's Seward now at the bottom, Cowley's up there. They're always up the top, but you see Hutch, Pratt, Colby kind of in the middle. Those flip almost every single year.
Rory Kling is in studio with us here, a Fort Hays Tech Northwest athletic director. I was kind of curious if, I would assume as an athletic director at any spot, you would like to bring in coaches and have them be around and build a culture. And I'm just ever curious. And since like you said, you've had over 100 different coaches in your tenure. Is there ever a time you're just like, man, I wish I could get one that would just stick around for a while and see what we could do at this point? You ever get that thought that runs through your mind?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We would like to have, we've had one coach last 5 years. That's been the longest term for a head coach. So if we can get to that 5-year mark, that's great. We can develop a culture, develop connections with recruiting pipelines, whatever. And so they know the school. We've had a consistent face out there in the public, building connections with the community like we had with Johnston and those guys when Jace was here. Then you consistently know who's in charge of the program and who's involved with the program. And so when you go out into High Five Friday or doing those things, that's who is going to be there. But it's harder, obviously, when we're changing coaches, maybe one every 2 years.
Has the name change affected recruiting in any way, either negatively or positively?
Yeah, a lot of it's miscommunication now. So it's, you're Fort Hays State. I was just sitting in the office going through eligibility and recertification yesterday, and somebody called me in a transcript, and it was like, oh, well, you're asking for Fort Hays State, not Fort Hays Tech Northwest. But when you Google and pop up whatever, you click on the first link, you probably show up.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a lot of it's, oh, you're Fort Hays State. I went there. I had that when I went to conference meetings in Kansas City and going through getting coffee or whatever, and the girl at work the barista at Starbucks said, oh, I went to Fort Hays State. I'm like, well, yeah, I did too, but we're a little different. I'm a graduate as well, but yeah, we're Fort Hays Tech Northwest. So a lot of that has been the confusion of just separating the two. And that's going to be a process whenever you change names. I mean, it's not going to be an overnight thing.
Yeah, I know. It's got to be such a, like I said, going back to my question, it's to me, it would get a little bit frustrating at times, like, oh man, we're starting over again. But at the same time, that's kind of JUCO basketball or JUCO sports to an extent. You're only, used to be only kept guys, for guys and girls for a couple of years. Yeah. And now, of course, with portal and stuff, guys can move freely wherever they want to go. I mean, tell you what, the bigger stuff is more like what it is now at the JUCO level.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, just like with that 4-year kid that got his year back. And
yeah, I was going to ask what your thought on the Diego Pavia deal, from an athletic director at a JUCO school. What are your thoughts on that? It would pretty much the rule would be your years here at example, Fort Hays Tech Northwest would not count towards your 4 years at another school, like Fort Hays State, for example.
Yeah, they put it out there, and I'm sure you probably saw it, a hypothetical that you could be 13 years in college sports. So, you could be, 31 years old and still be competing at the 4-year level because of your hardships, your gray shirts, your medical red shirts, your JUCO years, all that stuff, and you could be there forever. So you could be a
sick
2-year doctorate by the time you graduate.
And I doubt any of them have the 2-year doctorate when it's all said and done.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, and the NJCA is fighting that. They said it's just a one-time rule as right now. But yeah, when that news broke, my phone was blowing up with our coaches. Hey, what do we tell recruits for next year? What do I tell my guys right now? What is it? I was like, there is nothing in place immediately that says your 2 years at JUCO are foregoed and waived, and you have those more years to be able to compete at the 4-year level. So there's still some stuff that's going to happen here in the spring. We have a Jayhawk meeting on the 28th down in Liberal as we rotate through to different schools for those meetings. So yeah, we'll have more news here in the spring, but a lot of it's, I don't know, it may help us recruit high school kids. I could see that because the 4-year schools they're going to be using the transfer portal, using those kids, keeping those guys. So these massive influx of high school kids who want to the 4-year level might not be there anymore, just because you have that option if that does go through. So we may be able to benefit from that and recruit high school kids and develop them and say, hey, you can come here. It doesn't even count. We'll get you your transfer credits. We'll get you D1 eligible, and then go from there.
Yeah, that was my question. Was going to be, how you would think it benefits the JUCOs, at least recruiting from high school, because then these kids will, use it to their advantage because they know they can still get 4 years of eligibility. So you could definitely go out recruiting differently.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, it'll certainly be fascinating. What's next? So what's on your docket here for the next few months?
We had a early departure, I guess, or a late departure, depending on how you look at it. We had Bailey One. She was our head softball coach. She left the Friday of topside tip-off. So helping out with the topside, being on the committee and getting that tournament ready to go, and came in and said she's going to leave to be the assistant coach at another school. And so we had an interview yesterday with an assistant coach that was going to plan on starting in May. I got him convinced to be able to come in and start right away. So finish up this season. And then hopefully he can find an assistant, and he's got some recruiting connections out in Vegas. So hopefully we get that rolled through here. Like I said, we had the interview and he accepted it. So we just got to get the paperwork done and get that rolling. And then, Coach Josh Johnson, our assistant men's basketball coach, stepped down over break. He had some family stuff going on. So, he went back home down to Arizona, so he's going to go back. And then, so Brad's just going to finish the show on his own, finish out these next 2 months and go from there. So, and then if we need to, then step in and help out however we need. But yeah, that's the thing. And we're obviously still looking for a trainer. So that's the big one we're still trying to fill.
That is still, that's been, how long is that? That's not what?
Since May.
Oh, since May.
Yeah,
okay, that's right.
At May. So, But yeah, we're still looking for a trainer. Thankfully, I've got Michelle Ivins, a PT locally in town, and then also Mason Rains, the chiropractor, coming over 3 days a week to help out with our athletes and keeping them out of the hospital, which has been the fortunate part. So we've only had a few head up there. Obviously, there's some stuff you got to get looked at with injuries, but for the most part, we've been all right 3 days a week with those two.
No, that's good. That's good. And hopefully sometime soon we'll get that figured out. I know that I know is a massive gray hair probably in your head. I have no doubt about that.
That's the hardest one to fill.
Yeah, so. Very, very difficult thing to fill. He is Rory Kling, Fort Hays Tech Northwest Athletic Director. Rory, thanks for getting up with us, even though you had the day off today. Thank you for getting up with us.
Problem.
And we'll catch up with you soon, all right?
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Once again, great stuff there from Rory Kling. We'll take a break, come back, and wrap the show with some thoughts on some Mick Cronin audio. That's next here on the Morning Blitz on a Thursday.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Have you heard of Van the Morton Man? Back in Colby, where the legacy began. 100 years strong, building right, building grand. When you build with Morton, it's always as planned. From barns to workshops, garages to sheds, Morton's quality where every smart builder heads. Owned by employees, their hearts in each frame, a warranty that shines, a well-known name. So choose Morton Buildings with a history so vast, quality and care that's always meant to last. Meet them today and get your plan in hand. Crafted with pride by Van the Morton Man.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
Thanks again to Rory Kling for hopping on the program with us here today. He didn't have to work today, so it was nice of him to just come on in.
Makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. He was kind of he got the day off because Jimmy Carter. Did you see that because Jimmy Carter passed? There's a lot of governments that said government agencies we're just not gonna have any stuff today. Yeah,
but didn't he pass a while ago, like a couple weeks ago?
But now today the governor, it's not governor, it's President Biden said, yeah, well, you can just take the day off today.
I'm out right now. I'll leave right now.
I would love to too, but I'm already here and we're going to wrap up this show here in a few minutes. Although I feel like this final segment could go very long, but I saw this audio and Max pointed out to me again of UCLA head coach Mick Cronin after they lost their second straight game. They were blown out at home, and I forget who they lost to. It was
Michigan.
Michigan, thank you. And they were blown out by Michigan,
94-75.
And Mick Cronin, their head coach, went off, and here is the clip that's got everybody talking about it.
But we don't play. We're soft. So don't tell me you want to win. Just don't tell me you want to win. So don't tell me you want to win. It's crazy, and it's every day. I'm tired of it. It's every day. I have the most energy of anybody at practice every day. I have I'm upset with everybody in that locker room, my assistant coaches and my players. I mean, I don't need to do anything else. I almost got 500 wins. I'm only 53. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. But yet I come in and I have more passion and energy and pride than everybody in. That's the problem. So what the truth of it is, Ben, it's really hard to coach people that are delusional. The hungry dog gets the bone. We got guys that think they're way better than they are. They're nice kids. They're completely delusional about who they are.
Cronin. There's so much in that quote. It's unbelievable. First and foremost, or not first and foremost, but, of course, him talking about that delusional, people that are delusional, but him also talking about how he has the most energy in practice. He has, I'm 53, I have over 500 wins, putting out his own credentials about this.
Crazy.
Not exactly how you draw it up in the handbook on how to have a post-game press conference.
I think if, while coaches are getting PR trained, they should probably show that clip, because I think almost everything you don't want a coach to say, he said. Don't get me wrong. He's probably 100% right.
You're exactly right.
He's 100% right about everything
I
he
like
said.
it.
He's probably right. But why do you have to go to the media? Like, just say that in the locker room. And you could say a lot more in the locker room than what he probably said in the media.
Locker room, he probably has. And
it's just you can't. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for yourself. I don't care if you don't care how it looks. You can't, at a certain point, this is going to sound kind of crazy, and whether people like this or not, you can't be honest with the media at all times. That's a little too honest, I think, in my opinion. And like I said, he's probably 100% right. He's probably the most energy. The players are delusional. I believe him, no doubt in my mind. But especially when he threw out the credentials, because that really irritates me.
Yeah, that was kind of like, if
you're like,
why are you doing that yourself? It doesn't matter. We can look up what your credentials are. We know how old you are. We know you've had a lot of success. Mick Cronin, for those who don't know who he is, I mean, he coached at Cincinnati before he went to UCLA, and Mick Cronin teams were dogs. I mean, dogs. And, he talks about dogs, but they played like dogs. They were the scrappiest, most defensively tough basketball teams that you would find. They made it a nightmare for other teams to play basketball. They maybe were not the most offensively great teams, but they played unbelievable defense and with energy all the time. And that's how he won a lot of games, with this just unbelievable intensity and energy out of his team. And I can totally see how him trying to recruit players to play that style and still be able to win at the high level of like UCLA or heck, even at Cincinnati anymore. There's just not a lot of basketball players out there that want to play like that. They don't. They are few and far between. There are not a lot of guys that want to go out there and just completely give it their all defensively for 40 minutes and then go out there. I mean, you've got a lot more people that are all about shooting the threes and making it more fans and big time dunks than about outworking the other team. And I don't blame Mick Cronin, because he's right. Like you said, he is right. But he's also looking for guys that I just don't think really exist anymore in basketball.
But Ross, I mean, where do you go from there? You've still got 2 months of basketball, basically.
He dug himself a hole. I'm not saying
where do you go from? You don't have. He now has no control. Even if he didn't have any control of the locker room before that, now he has none, and the players aren't going to want to win because they don't want to see him win. I mean, it's just it's just downhill from here. It's just a dumb decision. It's just really a dumb decision, because you go to the media as a coach and you lose your entire locker room, whether it was there or not. Now it is gone. And if I'm a player, I'm like, why would I want to even try to win?
I don't know if it's, I don't want to sit here and say it's gone. I don't want to say that.
Really?
No, but it's a massive risk. It's like putting,
I get it.
It's like you're at the blackjack tape, or it's not blackjack. What's the thing?
He's hitting on 20.
Yeah, he's putting all of his money on 20 red. He's like, here's my last $5 and I'm putting my money down on, 20 on red. And if it don't hit, which it might not, it's going.
He's putting it on zero. He's
my point
going
is,
farther than red.
If he says those things, and his team responds, all of a sudden, all is forgiven. It's a massive, massive gamble.
But from what he said, do you think that's a team that would respond to that?
I would think as a coach, what you have in your players.
That's true.
You recruited them. So you should be able to know what buttons to push. Now, the problem is, why have you not been able to push those buttons in the locker room and in practice? Like, you're talking about how you don't have great energy in practice. That's on you, Mick Cronin. Get that energy out of them. But at the same time, I also sit there and I'm like, I totally see it from his side, because my guess is the guys that he are looking for to play basketball the way he wants to play it, which is not the typical way anymore, by the way, is very, very hard to do.
What do you think he means by delusional? Because that can go a couple different ways.
I honestly don't know.
Does it mean that they think that they're better than they are? Would be my guess, that they're more talented than they are, that they don't have to practice as hard as they are.
I would assume that's what he meant.
Right.
I think he even said that in the quote. They thinks that they are really good. They think that they're this fantastic group of guys, or they're this fantastic talented team.
There's just so much in there. There is really so much in that. When he goes, they're nice kids. That's one of the worst things in that whole clip.
Well, they probably are nice kids.
I know, but it's just like, that's just so passive aggressive. It is. You're aggressive. Then you throw a little backhanded compliment in there as well, just the icing on the cake. I mean, there's a lot in that, and I feel bad for everyone in that situation, really. Maybe, but part of me is like, what if he's this genius that's like, maybe he's not telling the full truth and he's kind of overdoing it just to rile his players up.
Could be. Maybe he is. That's my point. That's part about being the gamble.
Right. It's a big one.
Larry chiming in on the FP Bank text line. He goes, do you want to be the predator or the prey in this situation? He's kind of talking about, Mick Cronin's challenging his guys. Do you want to be the predator or do you want to be the prey?
Well, I'm not sure it ends well for anyone.
I'm not saying it is either, but the thing about this whole statement is that what he said and how he went about doing it, how he went about doing this is wrong. There's no doubt that's probably the wrong way to do it, obviously. But what he said and what he was meaning, we always say in the media, we'd love to hear what people are thinking. That's what he was thinking. And honestly,
if you're a reporter that made him flip out like that, or if you're in there getting a clip, love it.
Because honestly, that probably God was the truth.
100%.
And like I said, knowing Mick Cronin and watching his teams play for past years, I know how they play. And I've watched his team play against Nebraska, and Nebraska outworked them. And I guarantee that drove him nuts. Every time his team steps on the floor, he wants them to outwork it. And that's the funny thing is, this is the way Mick Cronin wants to play. It's amazing to me how he played when he first got to UCLA, when he had like Jaime Jaquez, Tiger Campbell. Right. That was
the other guy's name.
Unbelievably talented basketball team. Unbelievably talented. Like, that had to be the most talent that Mick Cronin ever had on a roster. Ever. And look what he did. He got them to play really well to all the way to where they played, I think, for the national championship. If not, they're in the Final Four.
They did. That was with, what was that guy's name?
I don't know. But they were unbelievably talented. Now I feel like he's gone back to where he's trying to recruit guys that are just tough, mentally, physically, all this stuff. And he wants to play that gritty dog style of basketball that he did at Cincinnati. And he either has those guys and he hasn't unlocked their potential yet, or he doesn't have those guys on this roster.
I mean, they're 11-4.
Oh, they're fine. They're not in a bad spot.
That's what makes it even crazier.
When you get your butt handed to you, I think at home by UCLA, that's going to sting. And like I said, that this is not the way to go about doing it. No way, shape, or form. But I also want to sit here and say, I don't think Mick Cronin is far off, because trying to find players to play that type of basketball is pretty much impossible.
All right, so then
the way the game is being played.
So then UCLA needs to find someone else. Because if he's set on not changing with the players, I know his system works. But that being said, you got to adapt at some point.
Yeah,
if the players want to adapt.
Yep, I hear you. Anyway, we got to get to the walk-up. Before we do, though, a little bit of wrestling tonight. You've got Decatur Community Girls and Boys Wrestling in Hitchcock County for a double duel. You got Oakley and St. Francis with a double duel as well tonight. So a bit of wrestling getting back in action here in the new year.
And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Difference going on in New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Tonight, a little Thursday night football, college edition. Notre Dame and Penn State facing off in the college football playoff semifinal at the Capital One Orange Bowl in Miami. How excited are you for tonight's game?
I just want it to be close. I'm kind of nervous, but this is going to be a defensive-oriented game. We talked to Riley Gates about this game, I believe, and that's what he said as well. And I'm totally with him. This is going to be...
Total is at 45.5.
It's going to be a lot like Georgia versus Notre Dame, I think. It's just gonna depend on Penn State. I feel like Penn State just needs to not turn the ball over. Drew Aller needs to have his best game. Notre Dame is playing with, I feel like, a little more. I don't know why. I feel like they're playing with a little more fire, a little more momentum than Penn State, because Penn State's kind of played against two weaker opponents, and Notre Dame went through Georgia. So, I got Notre Dame in this one, Ross. I really could see a Notre Dame blowout, but I really want it to be close, and I could see it being close. But I think I'm pretty confident in saying I think Notre Dame is going to take this one. I've been wrong a lot throughout this bracket.
I would take the Irish as well. I do think if you like teams that run the football, watch this game. Penn State runs it very well. Notre Dame has got Love. Their running back is one of the more electric running backs in all of college football. Both teams run it very well. Riley Leonard is a very good runner. I think his legs play a big factor in this game. Running quarterbacks always play a huge factor. And, of course, you got Tyler Warren, the tight end for Penn State, and how fantastic he's been using him all over the field. This should be a good game. The spread is 1.5. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've got the Golden Domers. I think it's going to be a really good game. I look forward to seeing how it all shakes out in this Orange Bowl from Miami. So Penn State, Notre Dame, and I'm just super stoked that we got two Northern teams playing and all that. I think it's great. By the way, if you have time today, Max, check out what James Franklin said about the college football playoff, and he kind of also threw shade at you at Notre Dame at the same time without meaning to do it. The
independent thing where they need to be in a conference.
They need to be in a conference. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Blitz. Have a good one.